Jessica, hello.
Hi.
We are live. Good morning. I suppose it is for you. Is that right?
It is. It's just 9 o'clock where I'm at.
Time difference is it is the middle of the afternoon for me, but we've made it. We're here. That's good.
We're
What is
here.
just while we wait for people to filter in, and if you are here, give us a wave, say hi, and just let us know where you are based and what time,
Yeah.
maybe.
I see Blair. Hi, Blair. Hi, Shoestry. Woohoo.
Great. We've got some people here already. Lovely. Yeah, what is on your docket today, Jessica? What are you working on?
Well, today I did a light day because this. and yeah, I think I have a light refresh to do. For those who don't know, I'm a finance writer, so oh, I'm delayed and blurry, Blair says. Am I blurry on your screen, Philip?
Yeah, a little bit. I think the video is just playing catch up. Hopefully, it will sort itself out. If it doesn't, we'll try and get that fixed. But yeah, thanks for letting us know that.
Shoot. But yeah, so I'm just doing kind of like a refresh on a finance article. How about you?
Good question. I am working on some stuff for a publisher today, sort of book launch things. Marketing is creeping its way into my life. What am I writing? I'm also going to try and write something funny for LinkedIn. That is my plan for later, because in the last few weeks I've been a bit busy with moving house and doing things like that. So content has taken a bit of a back seat, but yeah, hoping to write something good and fun for next week. That's the plan.
So something fun for LinkedIn, like a post?
Yeah, by something fun, it's usually me taking the mick out of not necessarily other creators, but topics and trends. So I think I'm going to write about the algorithm and how I don't really understand what makes a successful post on LinkedIn, even after writing there and having lots of followers for a couple of years. So hopefully that will resonate with people who are all seemingly confused as well. Like, why does LinkedIn almost block one post which is done very well elsewhere, and then something maybe that you repost might do brilliantly well a second time? Just, yeah, who knows? Oh dear, Jessica, you still there? I hope so. I hope everyone can still hear me. Jessica seems to have disappeared. Let's just bring her back on screen. Looks like Jessica's internet is struggling. Here she is. She's back. Hello, Jessica.
Okay. Hi. Okay. Is the video better now?
It seems better for me. Let us know in the chat if it's better, and we can get started, because I hope everyone is ready to learn about some great writing opportunities and how to get them. Great. Yeah, I can see some messages saying, I think it's better.
Okay. I switched to my
Brilliant.
mobile
Well, without further
hotspot.
ado, nice work. Without further ado, let's crack on with today. We are going to talk about the event's called Prime Writing Opportunities, where to find them and how to apply. Many of you probably know where to find some writing opportunities, but I'm sure Jessica is going to fill you in on some maybe places that you didn't know about, or some tactics that have worked well for her throughout her career. And how to apply. Yeah, we're just going to answer some of your questions towards the end, after Jessica tells us about freelance writing and who's hiring and how to get those opportunities. I realize I haven't really done a very good job of introducing us yet. Hopefully some of you here know me. I'm Phil. I am the English writing coach because I am a writer myself, but I mostly help multilingual writers, so writers for whom English is a second language, to improve the quality of their work. And I also give them some advice on running their writing careers. So I do courses and run a community for multilingual writers. So if English isn't your first language and you think that's something that's holding you back, then get in touch with me. I'm more on the quality side of helping to help writers to improve. Jessica, as well as being a very successful finance writer, a freelance writer, helps freelance writers with her business and newsletter and job board, all things freelance writing. Have I missed anything out, Jessica?
No, I think that pretty much sums it up.
Introduced you well.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
I've been writing for about.
Sorry,
I've been writing for about 11 years. So, and then I niched down into finance writing about 4 years ago. Hi, Sharon. And yeah, I started all things freelance writing about 2 years ago, and it just aims to be a helpful resource for writers on a lot of different fronts.
Great. Yeah, I can see lots of people filtering in now. So thanks for that. And thanks for joining us. If you've got any questions for Jessica or for me, but especially for Jessica on exactly where to apply and what kind of opportunities, or if you feel that, there's something that is holding you back with your with getting better opportunities in your writing career, then just drop a question in the comments and we will get to them at the end. We're aiming for 40 minutes or so. Let's have a chat, see where it goes, and we won't keep you longer than an hour, and we'll answer all of your questions at the end. First things first, Jessica, who is hiring freelance writers? Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
I also want to know why. What's your take on the industry, like where it's going? Is there a move to employ more writers or use more freelancers, and why?
Good question. Yeah, I think it helps to kind of zoom out and look at the big picture when you're thinking about, okay, how can I find writing jobs? It can be confusing because there's so many resources out there and so many people sharing great advice, but it varies in different ways that you can find the jobs. So I think it helps to go back to the basics and say, okay, who the heck hires freelance writers in the first place, And in my time writing and in doing the job board for the last year and a half, what I've seen are, in the most cases, it's, businesses. Every business needs to market, and that requires writing. And nowadays, digital marketing is huge. So they need copywriters and content writers. So it's all the businesses. And then it's media publications, which are a type of business, but they don't sell, products or other services besides content. They're content engines, so they need a constant, writing is the fuel for them. And the third one is books. So a lot of people want to write books, and they're looking for ghostwriters to help them, get their books out there. And then people need bid writers. So they want to help to, apply for grants or different things like that. So those are the four that I see the most. And then as far as where the industry is going, in 2023, there was a big dip when the economy was struggling. A lot of businesses were cutting budgets. AI came out. It was just like this perfect storm of problems. And a lot of people, didn't know what to do. Some jumped into AI, some got scared, some just cut their budgets, especially after the influx of funds during COVID with all the loans and everything that came out. It was just a huge pullback. But at the end of last year and beginning of this year, I've seen it start to come back a lot. A lot more people are hiring. They're more comfortable. They're finding their stabilization. And a lot more people are turning to freelance writers. We've all seen the ones that are kind of like employment jobs in disguise, looking for freelancers, which is not cool and shouldn't be the way they approach it. But it does seem like there's a lot more demand in the market. So I would say that it's growing again.
That's good to hear. And yeah, do you think that the growth of English as a world language and the ability of writers in all around the world to use English, is that one of the reasons why freelancing is really experiencing that uptick? Because companies are outsourcing, they're able to find the kinds of writers at the kinds of rates they want all over the world, whereas before maybe it was more structured and employment based, and you have to be based in the US, or you have to be from the country of the business is based in. And maybe to add to that, the internet as well is allowing
Hmm.
people to understand the culture of you could work for an Australian company having never been to Australia, do some research, and you find out
Right.
about Australian culture and uh, write things which fit the bill.
Yeah, definitely. I think the internet has played a huge role in it and just leveling the playing field, in writing and in a lot of other industries too. You can connect with more people than you ever could before. You can talk about different ways to work together, and all these platforms just bring it to the forefront. They make it a lot easier for people to connect. And for freelance writing, on LinkedIn, on these platforms like Upwork and Fiverr and everything, I just think that that's made it a lot more popular and well known.
Yeah, for sure. It seems to have rocketed a bit like self-publishing with books. That's something I have experience of, and I think it's great that it's available to all. It's much more
Yeah.
equitable, but
Yeah.
that
I was
also
just
means
talking to
everyone's
another.
doing it. So you gotta really know what you're doing to make some noise with a book or to sell some books. It's not
Yeah, for
as
sure.
easy as just hitting publish.
Right.
Great. I can see a few questions coming in already, so I'll keep my eye on those. And yeah, keep them coming. We will answer those soon enough. So great to know the industry is picking up. We're hiring more freelance writers, and everybody's here today asking, well, how do I get hired? And um, what about the process in which freelance writers acquire clients? We can use terms like the buying funnel, the marketing funnel. How does it work?
Yeah. So the clients that I just listed, the different types, they're all pretty much in different, stages. So when you're looking for clients, you can think about it like a buying funnel, just like if you're a copy or content writer and you're creating assets for your clients, you're, creating them for different stages. Are you trying to raise awareness and get people to know about something? Are you moving them through the consideration phase, with reviews or different things, or are you trying to close the sale? It's the same thing for us. So we have, there's clients who are out there who could benefit from your services, who don't really know. They haven't been sold on the idea of hiring freelance writers. And then there's those who have hired freelance writers before, but maybe they're not actively looking. And then there's those who, they've hired freelance writers before and they're looking. And so in each phase, there's a different way that you're going to need to talk to them. There's, different levels of competition. Like we've all seen on LinkedIn, when people post, sometimes those posts go up to 200, 300 likes. And there's a lot of people applying, but if you go and you're pitching someone who has a brick and mortar business in your town, there's going to be very little competition. So I think it helps to understand that kind of funnel, and then you can choose, okay, what do I want to do? And the less informed they are on the benefits of freelance writers, and how we work and all of that, the more education it's going to take. You're going to have to invest more time showing them why it's beneficial, maybe guiding them through how to work together and all of that stuff. Where the people who are ready, you have to do very little of that, but then you're going to have to really stand out, and come in and say, this is why I'm the best person, because there's 200 other people. So, it's just like a different type of focus that you have to put on depending on where you want to go. But I think it helps to understand that that's out there and that you do have more options than just maybe the ones that are the most visible.
Would you recommend targeting clients at all three stages? Should you be going for easy, medium, and difficult clients, or should you focus on one part of that buying funnel and nailing that?
I think it depends. When you're first getting started, it can be difficult to go for brand new clients. So, hold on, my puppy's barking. Come inside. Sorry. But yeah, it can be more difficult, I would say, to go for the new clients that you have to convince them, because maybe you're still trying to understand the value that you offer and that sort of thing. So in that case, it can help to start with I see Sharon say she tried the local approach. But yeah, it can help to start with the buyers that are ready, that know what they want. I actually started on a work platform, which was Freelance, which became Upwork later on. And so I would go through and I would just apply for like 20 jobs per day, until I started getting some traction, and I would learn with each one. And nowadays, there's a lot more newsletters and job boards that you can go and find and kind of get more familiar. Or another really helpful way to learn is to work with an agency that knows the landscape, that knows the structure and the processes, and you can get in with them. They find the clients for you. They find the work for you. You do the work, and you kind of see how the whole process works and how clients are onboarded and all of that stuff, all the contracts that are involved. And then once you have a better understanding of that, then I think it's easier to go for, you might want to diversify into the different levels. Number 2 is kind of a sweet spot. If you're going for clients who know the value of freelance writers and have already worked with them, they likely have some processes in place too that are so that you guys can kind of work together. They might be able to guide a little bit. You can learn and guide a little bit too and come into a partnership together. But then you have to go out and find them. So you do have to kind of learn more about marketing, about sending the cold pitches, possibly building your own branding strategy to attract those clients and things like that.
Yeah, interesting. And what kind of materials would you recommend having to hand to help educate clients or to help smooth that process? I think the more that you have ready to go, if somebody shows, if a business shows some kind of interest, but there's something they don't understand or that's holding them back, or they don't understand the value that they will get through your service. Yeah, what kind of documents, websites, materials can you have ready to help smooth that process?
Yeah. Well, I think there's, 2 ways to approach this. So if you want to go for clients in that first or second group, you can do an outbound strategy. So you can be, sending pitches through email or connecting with people on LinkedIn. And it's going to have to be a more detailed, pitch where you're breaking down that you understand their company, that you saw this opportunity, that this is how you can help them with it, that these are the results you've driven for other clients. It's going to have to be like a very solid case that you're making to them. And then it can help to have on your website, the steps, like this is how it works. Want to work together? This is step 1. This is step 2. This is how it's going to go, and then perhaps an onboarding guide when they come, like, here, this is what I need from you. Maybe a assignment brief that says, if they don't have one, these are all the things that I need. And it breaks it down piece by piece. And then on the other hand, you can also do like a content marketing strategy. So LinkedIn is hugely popular and a great place right now to build a brand and build awareness. And so you could plan your posts and your content in a more educational manner, targeting the clients you want, the ones, of course, there's going to be a lot of people on LinkedIn who understand the freelance writers, but there's going to be some that don't. And so you can talk to them about, hey, this is really digging into, this is the value of hiring a freelance writer over doing it yourself or bringing on an employee and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a more high risk and low risk in terms of the time that you spend and the effort that you put in. Outbound is more intensive in the time and the research that you have to do, but the gain that you get from it is probably going to be much bigger. You might retain a client or somebody who's going to pay you or have a close
Yeah.
relationship that will work much better.
Yeah. And I would say if you're doing outbound to, the group one that doesn't really know about freelance writers yet, which are all often brick and mortar businesses that aren't really online very much still. That's going to require more effort when you're reaching out to them than someone who already knows and hires freelance writers. If you're reaching out to them, it could be as simple as, hey, I'm a freelance writer. I specialize in what you do. Let me know if you ever need some help, and that can work really well too. So, but then again, you're going to have more competition. So,
yeah, we'll maybe get on to niching down, or how tight a niche you should have. That would be an interesting one to answer. I think we've got a question about that to answer later. Another question is, well, let's talk more about what you said about working for an agency, actually. Is that something what can you tell the people here today watching this live stream about agencies? Have you worked for an agency? Would you recommend it? And why or why not?
Yeah, I've worked for several agencies, and I did for years when I was getting started, probably from year 3 to like year 6. I worked with 2 in particular, and it was wonderful for me. It really was, because it helped me to stabilize my workflow, because they are doing the marketing. They're bringing in the clients and they're delivering them on a silver platter with all the information that you need. And I got to learn a lot of different types of writing. I was doing like onboarding guides, brand voice guides, websites, social media, email. It was just like the ultimate training session, and I was being paid for it. So yeah, I really value those experiences. And the pay was okay. It's not as much as I can make going directly to a client. But at that time, sorry, my dryer. At that time, I was having trouble getting clients. So this was like a perfect way for me to gain more experience, gain more stability, on my way to learning how to get more clients myself. And also it helps you build more confidence too, I think.
Sure, it sounds like a good plan to, when you're getting started, to learn, to maybe take some courses to get started and try and get some work under your belt, because that will allow you to apply and work for these agencies, because then they have a good quality writer to work with, and it's great for you because you can learn all of these things. Definitely at the start of your
Where?
yeah, definitely at the start of your career, could be helpful, and then you learn how to do the marketing and the getting of clients, and the what they want and what kind of documents and contracts and things you need to
Yeah.
onboard them with. So
And they would bring me in on, client meetings. So I got to see how they talked to clients and how they guided those. And that was all really helpful.
yeah, great. Maybe we can answer a question. I think this was from somebody in your All Things Freelance Writing community, or your somebody that wrote in to you, Damilare
Oh, yeah.
Olasinde. Not sure if Damilare is here, but if you are, hi, and thanks for your question. And Damilare's question is, how has the job search changed over the years for freelancers? What shifts have you seen? What's different
Yeah.
now from
So,
pre-AI, maybe, or even before that?
yeah. So I started in 2013, completely new to this world, had no idea about working online. And I would say between then and now, the biggest shift I've seen is the growth in the online communities of people who work online. So at that time, there was Elance. There wasn't even Upwork yet. And so that's how I kind of got into it. but there just wasn't, like, nobody was on LinkedIn. Maybe some people posted like articles sometimes, but there was, nothing going on in the feed. Most people just used it as like a resume site. Some people were starting to get into Facebook groups, but like I pretty much built my business all by myself with no one to talk to about like anything I was doing. So it took me a long time to figure stuff out. But yeah, I'd say the biggest change is the growth of these online communities of digital entrepreneurs. So it started kind of in Facebook and then Twitter and then Slack and Discord. And now it's like blowing up on LinkedIn and then all these other sub communities like Superpath and all things freelance writing and, all these other ones. And so there's just a lot more places to look for jobs and to, see what's going on in the industry. So I think that can be helpful, but it can also be kind of like confusing and overwhelming.
For me, I think it's the pace of change has just ramped up. So, I mean, 2023, like you said, was just so exhausting for everyone because we had to figure out like what's changed because of AI and what is happening now and what's that likely to change in the next 3 months. The pace of change is so fast, and what
Yeah.
worked on Upwork last year is not working now. So,
Yeah.
if
Or
you are
LinkedIn. Yeah.
trying to, I think if you're trying to keep pace with these massive platforms, that can be tricky. I think looking for a variety of ways to find jobs and opportunities. I guess, like you mentioned, Facebook groups. That's maybe something that's changing as well. I've heard that's a very good method to um, attract like niche clients. But I don't know. Maybe that's changing. Maybe Facebook is starting to fall to its knees and everybody's moving to TikTok or something like that. So the
Yeah.
pace
For
of
me,
change is high. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, Facebook for me, the groups, there's some good ones there where people are really active. Usually it's writers. So it's kind of like saying, hey, I heard about this gig or I have a client looking for this sort of thing.
So
Um,
specifically like writing job groups on Facebook you're talking about.
well, they're not specifically for writing jobs. They're for writers to talk about
Right.
everything, which, I found some opportunities come up in there.
Yeah, because I suppose I meant niche groups. So say like, travel groups or beauty groups or something like that. They may have, or entrepreneur groups especially,
Oh, yeah.
they may have opportunities where you can say, hey, I'm a writer. I write about this topic. Can I get in touch? That may be a way to connect with the right kind of people too.
Yeah. Yeah, I have heard of that before. I haven't done it, but I've heard of it.
What about standing out? Because we've been talking about LinkedIn and Upwork and some of these bigger platforms. What tips do you have on standing out in the world of freelance writing?
Yes.
Applying, it's pretty competitive, as you mentioned.
It is. So, yeah, if you're going to go for these jobs that are from the third group, so they're the clients who know that they need writers, they know what they want pretty much usually, and they're out there looking for it, then there's a lot of competition. So, yeah, that's the question. How do you land the job then? And um, in the current market, what I'm seeing is people are getting more and more specific with what they want. Like it's less common that you're going to see somebody say like, "Hey, I just want a freelance writer." They want like a freelance lifestyle writer to create content. They want a case study writer in B2B SaaS. They're asking for these very specific sort of things. And so and then I'm also hearing on the other side, they post these jobs and then they're saying, um, hey, I got all these responses and they weren't relevant. So these people, weren't specialists in what I do. So they're going and they're looking on the LinkedIn profiles and on the websites, and they're not seeing like alignment. And so I think that it's really important right now to just think about positioning yourself in a way that you are a specialist in some way, or just understanding like the main thing that you want to focus on. And that could be that, hey, I'm a blog writer, but I'm a generalist. I'm a jack of all trades. So I'm a blog writer, but I can do any type of niche basically. or it could be something more specialized. Like me, I'm a finance blog and article writer. It's very, very specific. Because when you get into that area where you have a specialization, then it's a lot easier to optimize your LinkedIn profile, have your samples, have your website, everything's like boom, boom, boom. So you see the opportunity, you send the pitch, you have all this proof, and then they're like, oh my gosh, you look like the perfect person, everything. And they go and they check you out and everything aligns and builds on each other. And it's like trust, trust, trust. There's no break in that. And they're about to take a risk. They're about to invest money into somebody, that's going to take time and effort. And so they want to make sure that it's the best fit and that it's the best chance of getting a return on that investment, that you're going to be the right person. So I think to stand out, you just have to go for the right jobs, have all of your ducks in a row and super aligned to support that you're the best person. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Support your unique profile with ducks. That's what you're saying.
That's the takeaway from today.
Yeah. I have a couple of tips on this. I'm a coach, so I get a bunch of people pitching me, and I'm a writing coach, so a lot of people want to write for me for some reason. And I see a lot of freelance writers who target coaches, and they say, I work with coaches or I write content for coaches. That's not something that makes me think that's me. I don't identify only as a coach. But if someone were to say, I help X language teachers who are writing coaches, I'd be like, oh, that's me. Yeah, I think that's what you need to build that trust, is for the potential client to be screaming like, that's the exact situation I'm in. That's the exact thing that can help me. So being as specific as possible, and not writing content writer / social media manager / copywriter / email copywriter.
And
why would I trust that person above somebody who's very specific?
Right. And if somebody sends you that email, say, okay, and you're like, oh, that's a perfect person, and then you go to their LinkedIn and it says that they are like a travel health writer, then how are you going to feel? You're going to feel like misled in a way, So I think it's just so important to have all those things in alignment too.
Another, we are going to get to your questions, by the way, very soon. We've got plenty of questions to get through, so I'm keen to move on to that. But yeah, just another quick tip on standing out is, I think sometimes it can be useful for writers to talk about the writing process. However, especially on LinkedIn, I see so many writers who are writing for other writers, because we're all mates. We all want to support each other. And we know that if we write a post for writers, all of our colleagues and contacts are going to jump on and say, hey, I like this, or I want to share it. I'm going to comment on it. And we get that feeling that, oh, it's working, it's something positive. But is that getting you clients and getting you noticed by the people who you want to work for? Probably not. So I would say one kind of mistake I see writers make a lot is to just write for their pals. It's like, write for clients, and don't worry if not everybody is there loving your posts and making it go viral.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I kind of have a unique take on this. I think that a mix is good. For me, LinkedIn, the number one way that I get clients is through the search. So my profile's optimized. And so my clients aren't really on LinkedIn. They're not really like hanging out in the feed reading people's posts. They're going on LinkedIn, they're searching for freelance finance writer or whatever, and they're checking out who comes up first. And so once I realized that, I was like, oh, that takes some of the pressure off of, what I post. But I have found that the engagement I get on my posts does help to boost where I show up in the search results. So,
interesting.
So I was like, okay, well, if I'm posting, I'm engaging. This is fun. I post what I want to write about. It's helping my profile show up, and I'm getting clients on the back end. But, I know that I've also posted stuff that's very focused on my clients, and that has helped too to get me more clients. So I think if you can combine, both of them in a really effective way, that there's probably a really good balance in there somewhere.
Sure, and I like what you said about search as well. Yeah, optimize every digital profile you have so that it's going to work for what your potential clients are searching for. And the bigger digital footprint you have, when people Google something, you might show up. And things like LinkedIn and Medium and maybe other social media are very good for that because they have a good search domain authority. And I say
Yeah.
that as somebody who knows very little about SEO, so I'm not optimizing my website, so that's coming up number one on Google. But hopefully, people might find me if they, are looking for a writing coach to help with their English level.
Right.
Great. We've got a couple more questions to get through, and then we're going to answer everyone's questions in the comments. Another question from Dan Lowry was, oh no, we've talked about this really. We've talked about agencies. We had a question from someone in my community, Jörn Winter, who is a technical writer and does lots of other kinds of writing. Hi, if you're there, Jürgen, not sure if you're here. He says, finance is a big topic. Where are the limits when working as a financial writer? Having set the limits, do you manage to stick to them when there's so much happening in the world? Isn't it tempting to write about other topics as well? So to summarize, I guess, how much do you stick to a tight niche and why?
That's a good question. I stick very tightly to it. Last year, I wrote 222 finance blogs, and that's it. Nothing else. So that was the first year that I was really just completely honed in on my niche. And yeah, I used to write everything. Like I was saying earlier, I wrote in like all these different industries, all the different types of writing types you can imagine. And it was great to learn experience and to figure out what I liked and everything. But I just struggled to get clients when I was doing everything because nobody was really like attracted to me for any reason. They're like, oh, another writer. Okay. Like the specialist thing. And so I just got to a point where I was really frustrated. I wanted to raise my rates. I wanted my business to be something better and more profitable and more enjoyable. And so I really looked into what I was writing, what could help me reach my goals, what I enjoyed, what was in high demand. And I came up with finance blogs, ticked all those boxes. And I already had some clients in that space. So I just changed everything, changed all my branding and everything about 3.5 years ago and started focusing on that. And it was like, I couldn't believe what happened. I mean, I just didn't believe that inbound could work like that. And it did. And so, yeah, I'm not tempted to go outside of that. I like, how it's working for me. I enjoy the work. When I sit down, I'm not kind of like trying to jump into this new topic or this new thing. Like I know what I'm going to write about. I know the landscape really well, so it doesn't take too much, research or anything most of the time. And yeah, and within finance, of course, like she said, there's so much that finance could cover. But I do have like my things that I write about within that too, like loans and credit cards and budgeting and things like that. So the economy. So there's like 5 or 6 things that I really focus on.
Yeah, great answer. Thanks for sharing that. And people feel very strongly about to niche or not to niche. I
I
think
know.
I have had some quite nasty comments when I've
I
said,
know.
"Oh, I think writers should niche down because it makes it easy to understand what you do."
Yeah.
From my buying mindset, whatever I'm looking for as a service or a freelancer to work with, if they do the one thing that I want in the category that I want rather than many things, that makes it easier for me to say yes. I mean, if I need somebody to design a LinkedIn banner, I want someone to say, "Hey, I make LinkedIn banners," not to
I
say,
know.
"Oh, I'm a UX designer and I can design catalogs." It's like, well, that's good, but it's much easier for me if I can just pick that one person and goes, yes, that's my niche. It's like I make LinkedIn banners for writing coaches. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that that's part of the market becoming more saturated, more people coming to work online, more people freelancing. There's just
Yep.
so many specialists that then now the buyers, they have the freedom to choose and to be picky and, to go and to find someone who does exactly what they do. It's not that hard to find. But I think it's worth noting that for some people, like an agency owner, they may want a generalist that can, like the person who hired me and had me do everything. Like some people may want that. But then if you're going to be a generalist, you have to understand who that is that wants that and target them, because it's not going to be everybody.
Sure. Yeah, I was just going to say that's not to say that freelancers can't decide, hey, I'm going to be agile and like take on different types of content or different types of different topics to write about. Of course, you can do that. Like whatever makes sense for you and your business. Great. Let's answer some questions. Donovan has got a question here. Thanks for your question, Donovan. Has AI helped or hurt writing opportunities? What do you think?
I think that it hurt them in the beginning of 2023, but I think now it's helped because unfortunately, a lot of people who dove all into AI are really feeling the pains now as Google is completely cutting their traffic. So that's just, really driving more people back to writers and understanding that that shortcut's not going to cut it.
Maybe I'm quite keyed into what AI does right, and I will notice that. But it, for me, stands to reason like more and more people are going to start to realize when something is machine written. I mean, in some instances, it doesn't matter. If you just want quick information, well, maybe AI can provide that, no problem. But I think in instances where it's about selling something or providing like deeper, meaningful content, then readers are going to notice, and we want personal connection. So we're going to notice when things don't have that expertise or that personal connection in it. And I'd agree with Jessica. I think initially it hurt writing opportunities. You certainly have to be in the upper echelons of providing like very good quality writing. And there's a lot of things. I talked with Shamila Ear on this topic, and there's a lot of things you can do to stand out from AI, like writing with humor, writing with more of a strong voice, writing by showing personal experience, storytelling, lots of things like that. So I think those are key skills to help you get.
And also just being really trustworthy and using your discernment in what you share. Like AI is going to share random quotes, random stats that aren't even true, So if you're a person who is very diligent about the facts you share and your sources and everything, that's going to set you apart.
Very important in finance writing, isn't it? You don't want to.
Oh, yeah.
ChatGPT saying, hey, this will give you like a 5% APR or something. It's actually just completely different.
Right. No way.
Great. Yeah, another question. This kind of touches on search. As I said, I'm really not an expert on that. So hopefully you know about Google and what is the volatility of search and the algorithm.
I think I like what Google's doing. They're bringing back up the people who are more human, really. They're trying to get rid of all of the stuff that's AI generated and machine-like. So I'm liking it.
Yeah, and there were all these messages saying search is dead. Everyone's just going to use ChatGPT from now on. And that's never what comes to mind for me when I want to know an answer. I'm still Googling things. So for the moment,
I'm not going to say that will never be the
number
case,
one.
but that's definitely not going to be the case in the next 5 or so years, I don't think.
Great. We've got another question here from Christian. Hope you're sticking around for the answer for this one, Christian. He wants to know about your pitching process. What do you recommend? How does it go for you?
Yeah. I would say, I don't know if you have to offer, I guess free value could just be like giving personalized advice. So if you're gonna, go and research a company and see what they're doing, you should format a pitch that shows them how you can help them. Like look for an opportunity, look for something that's lacking. Have they not posted blogs in the last 2 months? Maybe they need help with that. Did they announce that they're launching a newsletter? Maybe you could come in and say, hey, I saw you have a new newsletter coming up. If you need help, creating it or with anything personalized that shows that you understand their business is going to have like a little hook in.
Yeah, good point. I think understanding who they are, understanding the topic, understanding their business, and understanding what is happening in their business, like this launching a new product, launching a new newsletter. Again, the cold pitch emails I get that drive me mad are ones which show no understanding
Oh yeah.
of me and my business.
Or they still
get a
have
lot.
like the things in, like they're supposed to enter something there, but it says like hey, first name. It's like, come on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Personalization is
I get a lot of emails saying, "Hey, your YouTube content is great, but your channel sucks and you get no views." I'm like, "Thanks, that's a great way to
yeah.
to
I
get a
get those
client." Also,
too.
it's
Not
not
stupid.
really a big priority for me. That's why I don't have a large following on YouTube.
Yeah, don't offend them. I say like get in there and understand their need and offer how you can help, but don't tell them that they suck. That's not gonna go over too well.
I have a bit of an aversion to the word content as well. So if anyone sort of says to me, "Hey, your content is great," it's like you don't know who I am, so get out of my inbox. All right, I'm looking for some more questions. Sarah, this is a good one. What do you look for in a client? We've talked about how to get
What do I look for?
clients. What kind of clients do you want?
Yeah. What do I look for in a client? It's gotten a lot more specific over the years. And it's going to be different for everybody. But, for me personally, my ideal client is somebody who is an industry leader. So they get a lot of traffic to their website on a regular basis. They're very established. They work with freelance writers. They have a process in place. Um, Everything's just kind of very streamlined and ready to go. Um, they have like one point person who's in charge of the content who I'll be working with, um, a very kind of nailed down revision process. And they just are really like into what they do. Like they understand what we're doing. We're both experienced. We're on the same page and we can like get in alignment quickly. So that experience is important to me.
Would you say you look for a sort of 50-50 relationship where the client is, directing you and helping you get through the process of providing what they want, but then also trusting that, you are responsible for half the job?
Yeah,
Or do you prefer it that they're more directive?
I just want them to have their stuff like taken care of and I'll come and I'll have my stuff taken care of and we can meet and it's 50-50, but um I don't really want to be going in and doing the strategy. I don't want to be coming up with their schedule and all of that. Like I want them to have all their stuff ready and then they need a writer and I'm just the writer. That's what I do.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. If they're just if you ask them what do you want and they say, I don't know, it's up to you. You do it, then
Yeah, and I've had that like,
well,
oh,
it's a little bit too open.
yeah, do you want to come up with a topic? And it's like, well, do you want to hire me to do your content strategy? Because I'm not just going to come up with a random topic.
Yeah, we've got more questions to answer here. One from Joanna. Hi, Joanna. Thanks for coming along today. What are your tips for LinkedIn applying, is there a wrong or less effective method? Should we be using quick apply?
Okay, so this is like the actual jobs on LinkedIn, not like a job post, it sounds like. And I don't really know. I don't know about those. I've applied for a few. I've never really had much success through there, so I don't know.
It seems like with such huge numbers of applications, whatever the company's process is to select candidates is going to be somewhat quick or random. I've seen some videos of companies that sort of just grab half of the applicants and sort of reject the others, or it's done through AI keywords or something like that, which isn't necessarily the best. But then, like we said at the start, it's maybe pressing quick apply is very quick, so you don't lose much by doing that.
Yeah, I mean, with any job application, usually, like with the pitching we're talking about, it probably helps to be more specific and to tailor your application to them. But with the volume they're getting, I don't know if they're going to be reading them. I'm not really sure.
Certainly, after a certain level. Ankit says, what do we think about cold outreach for a copywriter and being specific as possible about your service? Guess this is more general advice for what you would recommend that copywriters do to pitch or to get clients.
Yeah. I think, cold outreach is a very effective method. You just have to get yourself in the right mindset. You know, average cold pitching, cold calling rates are between 2 and 5%. So you have to be ready to go in volume, maintain quality, and do it on a specific, like an ongoing basis, and measure your results, follow up. You know, it's definitely something that I've done in every business I've started to get the ball rolling.
How much time would Ankit's got a follow-up question, which is about how much time would you recommend putting into one pitch? Say you've identified one client to cold pitch, and how much time should we be putting into researching, putting this great email together, bearing in mind that the chance of success is 2% or is quite low.
Yeah, that goes back to kind of what we were talking about with the buying funnel too. You know, it's like, who are you going to target? How much, like if you're going to have to the education, that's going to be a longer pitch. That's going to take a little bit more research, but you got to be careful. So I would kind of get a template, like figure out your template, what you basically want to say, but you definitely want to customize it for each client that you're pitching. But I would say, if you don't have any work and you're just trying to get, jobs as quickly as you can, I would probably go for clients who are have hired freelance writers before, so that you don't have to do so much work in your pitch. You can just kind of say, hey, I'm a writer. I know that you hire writers and these are your needs. This is why choose me, basically. So that should probably take you maybe 5 to 10 minutes to figure out an email per person.
Got it. Great question. I've just lost, I think Sarah had a question. Another one about Google. Let me try and find it and put it on the screen. Here we go. Let's see. Dominique's got a question as well. We'll get to that too.
Oh, hi, Sarah. She's also a finance writer.
Great. Sarah says, what do you do to stay up to date with Google's SEO policies?
For me, I read up when they make new announcements, and then I follow a lot of people in the SEO world too. So I'm always seeing what everybody's kind of saying and the effects that it's having.
Keeping your ear to the ground.
Yep.
Great. And Dominique says, do people try and get into 2 or 3 niches? I guess he's saying he would like to write on broader topics than just something like finance. So let's reopen this can of worms. Like, Is it okay to have 2 niches, to have 3 niches?
I mean, you can do whatever you want and experiment with it and see how it goes. Um, but like we're talking about, the more specific, the more you resonate with somebody, the better. So, um, if someone comes to me and they're like, hey, I specialize in writing for freelance writers. Can I write for your site or something? And then I go to their thing and they're like, I write for writers and I do health in this and I do also finance. I'll be like, okay, well, they do that. So maybe, but then they also do these other things. They won't stand out quite as much. So it might weaken your offer,
Yeah.
but it could still work. That's what I would
I
say.
mean, one tip I would say, Dominique, is you can have the approach of one platform, one message. So if you
Yeah.
work in 2 niches, you work in finance and in pet care, then your LinkedIn could be finance because that's maybe more appropriate for the platform. And maybe if you have a content business on Fiverr or something, and you want to write about puppies and kittens there, then that's cool. Because
Yeah.
when people are looking for a pet care writer, they want to see, yeah, I write about cats or I write about dogs,
Yeah.
not
That's such a great
finance
point.
as well.
That's such a great point. And I think it's like a lot of times people think, oh, once I choose a niche, like I'm cornered into that thing, but it's a marketing strategy. So it can be, how you present yourself on a platform to get people in the door. And once they're in the door, you can say, hey, I also offer, these other things. It doesn't have to be the only thing you offer behind the scenes. It's just like a lead magnet.
Great. I think that's all the questions answered. So thanks so much to everyone for coming and for asking those questions. If you've got more questions, as always, just get in touch. You can get in touch with me on LinkedIn or on my terrible YouTube channel or by email. Yeah, LinkedIn is probably easiest if as we're streaming there. Jessica, what about all things freelance writing and where people can get in touch with you and why they should?
Yeah. You can feel free to connect with me. I'm on LinkedIn most weekdays, and I just love connecting with other writers, getting to know people in the industry, talking shop. I'm happy to answer any questions. I've been writing, like I said, for about 11 years now. I had a really hard time getting started, and I did have some people help me along the way. And so I'm happy to help other people who are coming up too. And yeah, I have All Things Freelance Writing, which is a website and community. And we post jobs on our job board on a regular basis. We send out a roundup every Friday. And then we're working on our season 2 of our podcast. And I have a blog there where you can find a lot of information. So yeah, that's just allthingsfreelancewriting.com. You can find everything there.
Great. And it's free, is that right? It's free to sign up for the newsletter and to get
Yeah,
access to
everything.
these jobs.
Yeah, we have a few services that are paid, but the job board's free, the newsletter, a lot of it, the blog, everything, all that's free.
Brilliant. Thanks so much to everyone for coming
Yeah,
and
thank
hope
you.
to hear from you. And thanks especially to you, Jessica, for giving up your time to help all these writers and highlight all these great jobs which we can get. And now we know how to apply for them.
Yeah, thanks so much for inviting me to do this. It was fun.
Great. And I hope your puppy behaves itself as well.
She's always interrupting my Zoom calls. Today was the dryer, though, so you never know.
You never know what's going to interrupt you. Great. Okay. Thanks for coming, everyone. And I'll see you again in a month or so with another one of these webinars. And feel free to get in touch. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye. Have a good weekend.